Hi, I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. In this, we know that we're going to talk about reviews and how to get more of them organically. For those of us who are in our Head Start community and part of our review group, we know that Amazon has done some crazy things with reviews in the last week or so and kind of changed some things and taken away a lot of reviews. So I don't think we could have more of a better topic than to talk about reviews and how to get more of them organically. So we're going to talk about some of the review groups and some of the different things in some different webinars going forward. But when some of these issues started happening with Amazon a few weeks ago, I reached out to someone I knew. His name is Chris Guthrie. And Chris is the owner of a software called SalesBacker. And just had some conversations with him along the way about what we as a group can do and what was he working on. And Chris has done a lot of different softwares and different things within the Amazon market, but he actually is one step ahead, and that he was trying to prepare some software that basically does reviews for your organic buyers. And I know there are many of us who use softwares like Feedback Genius, Feedback 5, those type of automated programs, and those are fine and used. But what Chris has done is taken that concept to one step above that. And I think those softwares are fine, but they're a little bit by tech people for tech people. And the reality of it is most of us in this group are not tech people. I mean, obviously, look at me, I'm not. So in that, I looked at some of the software, been going through it, and I liked how it's intuitive and what it is. And the more important thing here is that when I use Feedback Genius, I seem to get 2 or 3, maybe 4% on a good month of some of the organic reviews. And I was talking to Chris and saying that's some people get more than that, some get less, but somewhere around 3 or 4% is probably typical. Chris has worked out some different things and combinations of things where he's getting close to 10% on some of his returns. So I'm just sitting here thinking, to me, that was kind of when my eyes went very wide open, and I started really paying attention, because as we know, reviews right now are tremendously important to our business. So I wanted to bring Chris in and have him just kind of go through what he's doing, how he's setting up, because a big part of what he's doing is in the copy that's going out to some of your buyers. And he's got some things built in the software that I have been looking at and have really come to like and enjoy. And he's just going to talk about some of his strategies of what he's doing first, and then he's going to go through and demo some of the software, and then we're going to take questions at the end. So at this point, let me introduce and welcome Chris Guthrie to our webinar today, and thank him for being there. And let me see, this is okay. We're at the 7-minute mark. So anybody's got that at the pool, go ahead and mark that, because I'm going to try and give him the opportunity to present from his screen. So let's see if I mess this up. Hopefully I don't. So if you see his screen in a second, I did it right, and you lost if you had 7 minutes in the pool.
All right, I'm showing my screen now.
Hey, how about that? You lost if you had 7 minutes, so I don't want to catch any grief for my lack of tech skills from all of you.
The first comment that came in said something about make sure you hit record, Mark. We were joking around before we started, so it's funny that.
I was telling Chris earlier that people will make fun of me for my lack of webinar tech skills, and they will send. He says, "No, I don't believe they'll do that to you. They're too nice." And so you wait and see. All the emails it'll tell me, remind me to record and hit buttons, because if they've been on webinars before, they know that this is not my area of expertise. But anyway, glad everything's working. And I'll see if I can kind of get out of the way here. And if you would, everybody, hold your questions till the end. And let's just let Chris show you what he's got, because I think this is going to be something that's going to be very helpful in your business. So, Chris, go ahead and if you would, just take it away, please.
All right, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so the biggest thing is that we all know, and as Mark mentioned before, that a lot of reviews have been getting removed recently. And a lot of that comes down to people using different types of groups or different types of platforms for launching, and then Amazon can look up to see, okay, this is a coupon code, or this is a not a verified purchase, and then they look for a disclosure, right? And if you think about Amazon's platform as a whole, ultimately they need their review system to have as much integrity as possible, because if people know, and I think that especially as more sellers get onto the platform, typical consumers are being more and more aware of the different tricks that people are doing to try and game the review system. And so ultimately, the best way to combat that is to just simply get organic reviews from your actual customers, right? And so a lot of softwares that are out there now do that through sending out emails, which is exactly what SalesBacker does. But what we've done instead is we focused on specifically people that are doing private label, right? So that's why we focused on primarily reviews. So I actually just want to show you briefly a demo of it, and then, like we said before, we can answer questions, and if you have any questions in the meantime, I'll be glancing over occasionally as well just to make sure I can cover everything. But so here's actually the dashboard. This is our staging server where we test things before we roll them out. But when you log into SalesBacker and you set up your account, you're going to get a dashboard that shows you the number of orders in your last period of time, 7 days, 30 days, etc. Number of emails you've sent, and then also you can see how you're doing on the product review side as well as your seller feedback. I'm sure by now everyone knows the difference between the two, but product reviews, of course, are on your actual product, and then the seller feedback is for your overall account. And so seeing these both metrics here is helpful in this dashboard area. And we also give you a little bit of a conversion ratio, so you can see how well you're doing with your campaigns and also with seller feedback. This all is dummy data from just our staging server again, but it shows you a little bit more of how it works. So below that area where you can see your overall stats, you can see your recently sent emails, and then you can come into any one of these emails and you can see, okay, here's what was sent. You can see the email address. You can see what email you sent to them. And additionally, you can come down here to see more sent emails. And I want to ask a question because I know this has happened, but how many people have, well, I will ask it actually, how many people have really have dealt with really crazy, I guess is a kind of a weird way to put it, but crazy buyers? You have people that get really upset about the most bizarre things, and you want to try to have nothing to do with them. So you can actually search for those people when they come up, and then you can stop an email sequence from them, or if they're really causing you grief, then you can just unsubscribe them and basically blacklist them so they never receive your emails again. But you can come into this area and you can make sure you can get rid of those people. And then the other thing too that's a lot different about our tool, and Mark mentioned this before, that a lot of the other tools are kind of created by software people for software people, is that we made the interface really intuitive. So when you can set up your account, which is, I'll give you a link for people to check that out and get an extended trial in a little bit, but when you come to the products tab, you'll actually be, this information is pulled in from your accounts automatically. So it pulls in your list and then very simply displays whether or not you have a campaign that's running or not. And then if you hover over that, you can see which campaign is actually running. And so let me dive into one of these products. This is a made-up brand, of course, although I always think about the barbecue niche. Maybe I'd call it Booyah Barbecue, but let me go into this product here so I can show you. So the cool part here is you can put, if you edit the product name here, that's actually, that'll be what displays to your customers when you use a little merge tag that would substitute in your product name. So if you have a really long product title, then you can make it sound more naturally by editing this here, and then you could do that. But the cool part is you can also see your Amazon bestseller rank, which is tracked over time. So you can see how well that's doing. And then the product reviews themselves are actually pulled into the software as well. And then you can quickly display, what reviews you're getting, 5 stars, 2 stars, etc. And then you can reply to those directly within the tool. So you can just click these links and you can reply. And then before I jump into the campaigns, on the review note, because we are focused on product reviews primarily, and that's why we're really focused on the private label audience, you actually provide you an ability to get product alerts on seller feedback and also product reviews. That's actually a premium feature, but you can get emails when you receive negative reviews. We send these emails out, I believe, 4 times a day. And so anytime you get these, I know that in the past I was always monitoring my listings and trying to figure out, okay, I got a negative review, because you want to make sure you reply to those. Mark, I don't know, do you reply to most of your negative reviews when you get those?
I do, and the good news, of course, for all of us is fortunately they don't happen very often, but if many times, as we all know, if you try and respond and at least address the issue, you can get them to change it because they're mad at something in shipping or something that wasn't your fault, and if you let them know you're a real person, they're less likely to attack a real person. So this is a nice feature to be able to address it quickly, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think that always coming across as apologetic, and even too, if you want to make sure you reply to those reviews on Amazon, because it's almost mainly just because oftentimes people aren't going to even reply to those. I don't think I've ever had someone actually that left a negative feedback then reply to my comment that I've left on theirs, or rather a negative review. And really it's more just for people that are shopping to see that, oh, this is a company and they're trying to make sure they solve the problem. So if I purchase this product, I'll be sure that comes through. But so you can get email alerts on these, and that's really important, so you can make sure that you're being notified. I know there's some other tools out there that just offer, review notifications. So we built that into this tool because we know if you're a private label seller, you obviously care about product reviews primarily, but also seller feedback. So let me show you the campaigns tab here in a second. All right, so when you actually first sign up, and through the link I'll show you in a little bit, you'll get 4 different campaigns, and it will show you, you can use whichever one you want. If you want to focus on seller feedback and product reviews, you can use this one. If you want to just focus on product reviews, you can use this campaign. And if you just want to focus on feedback, then you can use this campaign. So it's really straightforward. And of course, you can add a new email campaign if you'd like. But then in every single email campaign, you have a different set of email messages. And then these emails will go out at various times. I'll actually just pick one here. Let's say the seller feedback request. And it's very intuitive. You have your message name, your subject, and this is one of those merge tags I was mentioning, right? So if you change your product name in the products area of your account, then that's just going to be what displays there. And likewise, you can also replace your buyer first name, and you can include a link to ask for seller feedback. And so this will come through as a link that says share your feedback here. And so when you're asking for these, I always like to emphasize it. It's only going to take X period of time. If you lead with saying it's only going to take 30 seconds, then people see, okay, I've already opened the email. It's a very low time commitment, and I found that by mentioning the time period, it's going to be a little bit higher conversions than not doing that. But so this is what you can do to put in these messages, and then you can also trigger when these emails are sent out. So it can be sent out as soon as possible after the order has been delivered, or after the order has been confirmed, or it's been shipped. And most of the time, I suggest to send an initial email after someone purchases, and either you can do one of 2 things. The first thing you can do is you can include, say you have a PDF that you're already giving on your advertising on your product listing, then that's the first email you'd send that. You can attach that in this section here. You can attach a file like a PDF. But if you aren't actually offering one, then you can just give a PDF attachment anyways as a bonus. And oftentimes, if it's substantial enough, say a recipe guide that has a lot of value, then people are surprised that you're giving something extra for free, and then you can actually get an uptick in reviews that way as well. So that's another strategy you can employ in your campaigns. But the cool part, of course, is that you can do whatever you want, right? You can control when this is done, and then when you first do your campaigns, if you ask for seller feedback first, you can use the seller feedback as a filter against getting negative reviews. So this box here, which is by default turned on, is you'll send these emails except when a buyer has left you seller feedback of 3 stars or less. And so the reason for that is that a lot of times, I'm sure you've seen this as well, Mark, but you get people that leave you a negative review as a seller feedback. And as some of you probably know, the best part about that is that you can ask Amazon to remove that, because negative seller feedback that comes in the form of a product review isn't acceptable, right? It should just be, the seller feedback should really just be a metric of your overall, the time you shipped it and whether it's delivered on time, etc. But since most of us are using FBA, then really our feedback should be 100%. We should always be getting 5 stars, because oftentimes if there is something that's been delivered late, Amazon will take care of that for you. So this is the cool part as well, where you can kind of filter that, because that way you can see, okay, someone comes in, they leave you negative seller feedback. All right, let me turn off the email campaign so I don't send them follow-up emails asking for a review. And so you can do that as well, and that helps out. And then down below here, we tell you, what to do. One thing I want to highlight too, because I want to make sure no one does, something that will get them in trouble. Don't send out links to your website, right? Don't include links. Hey, sign up for my email list, right? You don't want to do that. Amazon wants to keep their customers in the Amazon ecosystem, which makes sense since they've spent, the better part now of 20 plus years building that ecosystem. So that's their right to do that. And mainly, you just want to make sure that you're only linking to your Amazon-related things. And in this case, really just asking for seller feedback and product reviews. But let me continue on to another section here. And so inside any of these, so if you wanted to do like a review maximizer, this one just is an order confirmation type email and then asking for product reviews. For a lot of my products, that's actually all I was doing. Was I thought, I'm just going to do an order confirmation, thanks for ordering, and then ask for product review, and then ask for product review again. And one of the things that I actually like to incorporate in my emails is humor. And the reason for that, and Mark, I'm not sure if I told you this story, but I found this company and it's called CD Baby. Has anyone heard of CD Baby? Mark, have you heard of that?
I have not.
Yeah, so CD Baby is this company. It was founded by an entrepreneur named Derek Sievers, and they used to say in their emails, let me find it here actually, I have it written down. So this company was sold for $22 million several years ago. But what they'd send in their order confirmation emails was something to the effect of, your CD has been gently taken from the CD Baby's shelves with sterilized, contamination-free gloves and placed onto a satin pillow. And then it was, our packaging specialist from Japan, lit a candle and a hush fell over the crowd as we put your CD into the finest gold-lined box that money can buy. So they had this really over-the-top humorous thing. And even now, if you search CD Baby or CD Baby email, you'll see tons and tons of responses, and they ended up getting a lot of press because of that. And so I actually adopted my approach to theirs, right? I mean, I think that a lot of times we should just focus on what works well. And if this already was working really well for them, I thought, hey, I'm going to do a similar approach to my Amazon business. So I would, I'd incorporate humor into my emails. I wouldn't go as over the top as them, but I'd say things like, if you review this product, I'll find a kitten and hug it on your behalf and include a photo for you, right? Stuff like that. And so I put these funny one-liners into emails, and actually people would start leaving reviews and then saying, and then referencing those, right? I think that a lot of times part of what's helped with me getting more reviews is just incorporating humor. And even if everyone listening to this, and every time I talk about this topic, if everyone was to incorporate humor, it's still such a small percentage of overall Amazon sellers that I don't think it's really going to lose its effectiveness. It might not work entirely for your specific brand, but for me at least, it's done really well to incorporate humor, and that's actually what's helped with getting more reviews. Another thing too I wanted to share was actually I wanted to show one other thing I wanted to show you was on the product itself, right? So when you have these campaigns, we want to make it really simple for you to know what campaign is running, whether or not you have it active. And so you can see, okay, here's the email campaign. You can choose a different campaign if you want, and you have your drop-down list of those campaigns and whether or not it's running, right? So you can click pause to pause it or click run to run it. So there's no confusion in terms of, okay, which product is running for which campaign, et cetera, that you might see with some of these other tools. And then in the actual campaigns themselves, you can see which products are running for that as well, which ASINs, and you can click that ASIN to go over to that product as well. So it makes it really, really simple to see that. For the most part, that was a lot of what I wanted to cover in the demo. Let me actually show a link here, and then if there are any questions too about the tool, I'd love to see people have. Did you have any questions as well, Mark?
Well, I'm just going over, and again, what I like about this is that for a non-tech person as myself, the interface is so much better. And to me, this is not only a review tool, but it's also a management tool. And I think if you can focus on that and make that part of your daily routine, I think obviously that can improve your reviews and ultimately your business. So for me, like I said, the other tools are out there and they perform the basic function. However, this is a tool that is more intuitive for me to use, and I think it just allows me to do better. So, but the one question I had as far as a strategy goes, I mean, I realize we probably have people in here who are using tools like this, and then some who are just in the process of getting to it. But maybe, Chris, you could elaborate a little bit more on how all of these things come together to help you get such a high review rate on what you're doing, and maybe just talk about some of the strategies of how all this comes together to get that result of the high review rate, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the key really is that if you're looking at Amazon, I don't believe that some of these strategies of using coupon codes to get reviews are going to last forever. I think that as increasing number of people, myself included, I've used coupon codes and deals like that to get reviews, which is great for an initial bump, but you want to expect that those reviews may not last because Amazon's making moves to indicate that it seems like that's the direction they're heading. And so ultimately, all these reviews that you can get from these customers are coming from full price people because they're natural organic reviews. One thing too, before I get into going back in here and seeing some of these questions, markscottadams.com/SB is a link if you wanted to check out the software, and there's an unlimited 60-day free trial, so it's a longer time period. But the main thing is that, yeah, we built this to make it really simple, right? So you can see one of the questions I saw come through was, are there sample emails that are included? Yeah, so exactly. As soon as you sign up, these 3 campaigns, and there's a bonus 4th campaign, which is the campaign that I've used specifically, incorporates some of the humor that we talked about. And then you can just select it and run if you want. So we make it so that you can pretty much start right out of the box and then start getting those reviews.
And again, too, I mean, where you've got the ad email campaign, that's where they could put in their own campaign if they wanted to write their own.
Exactly, right. Yep. And then you can have a different campaign. You know, we have people that use different campaigns for every product if they want, but the best part is that with the merge tags and that replace the text for different types of products and everything else, you can just use the same campaign for every product if you wanted to, if your goal for those products are the same.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead now and take some questions. I got some coming in, and can you see the questions that you're in?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well, let's see. Starting at the 120 the 123 mark, I guess. If you see that from a time frame, that's where if you just want to read off those questions, and we'll go through those, or I can read them and you can answer them, whatever's easiest for you.
Yeah, that's good. Manny's asking, does it work in the UK? So as it is right now, no, we aren't running in the UK. The plan was to come out for the US with this different focus, right? We wanted to focus on private label sellers and to build things into the tools that no one else was building, mainly around helping people get reviews. And so we did that for one territory, and that's the plan before we roll it to the others. There's actually several other things that we're working on to help get more reviews that, again, no one else is doing. So we're going to nail all that down for one specific territory, do really well with that, and then before we expand out to others. That's the plan. There's another question, too, from lots of questions coming through. Let me scroll up a bit here. Another question from Steven saying, are sample emails included? Yeah, so that's the best part is when you sign up 4 different campaigns. Actually, this just shows 3. And I mentioned incorporating humor. So when you use that link, and I just posted it into the chat box because I saw that was one of the questions. It's markscottadams.com/SB. That'll get you to a 60-day trial link. And then that's unlimited emails you can send during that trial. I know some people are probably bigger sellers. Some are just getting started or smaller. And you can do that, and then in there's a 4th campaign that I use as well, and it incorporates humor where I put those different types of one-liners after that. So yes, sample emails are included, and they're around your goals as a seller, whether you want seller feedback or product reviews. Thomas is saying, is there any way to send out different messages to second-time buyers? Tom, that's actually something that we've received several requests for, so that's on our to-do list. Ged was saying, what are the benefits of SalesBacker over Feedback Genius? Yeah, so the biggest thing really is that, as I've been saying a few times now, is we're really focused on private label sellers and focusing on reviews. If you look at Feedback Genius or other tools, they use feedback in their domain name because that's originally what they were designed for, was for seller feedback. We're saying, okay, we know that there are 2 different types of sellers on Amazon. There are people that resell products, and there are people that create their own brand and then sell those products as their own brand. And there's a hybrid, right? People that are doing both. But the framework that we're building SalesBacker for and what we have already, and then the direction we're heading, is that even though we know there are 2 different sellers, we're really focused on just this one group of private label sellers. So that's why we do things like giving you email notifications on your reviews, like these other feedback tools don't. And so that's one of the differences. And the other thing, too, is that the interface is pretty intuitive, right? You can see very clearly, okay, I have a campaign running, or I don't. So it's just really going back to Mark's point about other tools being built by programmers for programmers. We wanted to make something that's really simple to use. Okay, let me come up here. I see lots of questions coming in. Mark, I figured my demo might be not very long, but I figured that since you have a lot of really active sellers, we would have plenty of questions.
Well, that's the whole thing. If something is simple enough to explain shortly, it's a good thing. It shouldn't take a long time to explain something. So that's actually a good thing. And questions are really the whole point of being interactive, and I'd much rather have it that way.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, Alex says if someone sends a product back, requests a refund, will the software stop all emails? Yeah, Alex. So the way it works is when you request a refund from Amazon, Amazon will put that into the reports that the software actually uses to operate the MWS reports, and then it will stop a sequence automatically. That's actually on by default because we figured that in no scenario is any seller going to want emails to continue to be sent to people if a refund's gone through. Stephen was asking to put a link in the chat, and I put that in there a little bit earlier, so that's already in there. Marcus saying, what is the difference between SB and Azon Review Finder V6? I'm not even sure what Azon Review Finder V6 is. The biggest thing is, it's an email follow-up tool to help you get more product reviews. And Azon Review Finder, I'm not sure about that one. So Daniel's saying, mostly an FBA user, but we do get orders from Amazon. Can this platform be used to get reviews and feedback from the FBA customers? Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, this is when the orders come through, these sequences are fired and they're sent out based on what you have in here, right? So for example, if your first email is order confirmation, that'll be sent out as soon as possible after the order has been confirmed. And then if you come down to the next section, next email, say it's sent out as soon as possible after the order has been delivered. So you say you're asking for seller feedback. And then product review would be, sent 5 days after the order has been delivered. What we like to do, what I like to do is I like to send an email 5 days after it's been delivered. That's usually been enough time for them to have tried the product out, and that's when I ask for a review. And then I send the final review request 10 days after the item's been delivered. And that's what I like to do. Elliot's saying, do you have to have a website for this to work? No, you don't. And that's one of the best parts. I know that when I first got into selling on Amazon, it was surprising that people were building such large businesses without having any web presence. I come from the background of building up websites, ranking them on Google, backlinking, all that stuff that's really boring to talk about. And so that's why selling on Amazon was kind of a breath of fresh air. You don't have to have a website. You don't have to have a website for this to work, and you don't really necessarily have to have a website to start selling on Amazon. I would suggest, long term, for you to be able to sell on Amazon and other platforms, but you don't need the website for this to work. Nope. Steven's saying web-based or Mac compatible? How many computers? So yeah, it's all web-based, and so it doesn't. As long as you have a browser, you're good to go, and it's mobile responsive and everything.
I keep waiting for the cloud to get full, but I guess there's a lot of space there.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's nice too, because if there's an issue for someone, we know it's an issue that everyone has, right? Whereas with installable software,
yeah, it's just nice to see so many programs going to be cloud-based as opposed to something you download. That's just you can access it from all your mobile devices and from any location. So that's just a much better platform to build upon, I think.
Yeah. Neil's saying, do you have to manually input client email addresses, or does the software add them automatically? Yeah, so it adds them automatically and sends out emails. And the thing that, again, I want to emphasize this too, because part of it I want to show people the software, and Mark, you liked it, and so that's why we're here. But the main thing too is I want to make sure people don't do anything wrong. So again, everything that you send via Amazon email, whether you log into Seller Central and send those emails, or you send them via SalesBacker, they keep a record of those, right? And that's why you don't want to do those things like I alluded to before about, offering a discount if people leave a review, or sending links to your other products, or sending them to your web store. You don't want to do that stuff because you will get banned. And then, sometime down the line, if you did do that, you'll see, they still have a track of that. So you don't want to do that.
Just to kind of interject one question that does come up in our Facebook group from time to time, where you have the attachment section. What are your thoughts on putting some kind of, I don't know, PDF, ebook, whatever you want to call it, where it has some links in there? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the way that I answer that is from the standpoint of, I'm one of the co-founders of this tool, and we have thousands and upon thousands of emails every single day that are sent out. And so I err on the side of caution, because I know that if I say something and that a lot of people do it, then the last thing I want people to do is to use something and then be like, oh, you said this that we could do this, right? And so I've seen everything from people using the PDF to just blatantly send traffic to their own their own site. I've seen it just a very simple instruction guide on how to use the product, which I think is a really good use. It's just a step-by-step instructions on how to use it. Just kind of laid out with pictures in a PDF. And I've also seen people doing, recipe type books, but again, not linking out. So I guess what I would say is don't link out, but I do know people are doing it. But just from a standpoint of me knowing that lots of people are listening to this and might adapt their strategy, I'd say that you want to be cautious about anything that breaks their terms of service. And really, if you just think about it from Amazon's perspective, they spend a lot of time building up this massive platform, and they don't want you to take it from them.
I understand.
So that's kind of that's the way I'd answer it. Long-winded, but
okay.
Yeah. Mark has a good question. How long has this product been live? Yeah, so we've been live since, publicly since May, and then and privately before that. And then, but now we've been growing really rapidly because naturally this is something that most people haven't seen, and we focused on a specific niche, and we're just trying to focus on doing a really, really good job for that one core audience. And so, we're sending, I can't share how many users we have, but we're sending thousands upon thousands of emails every single day for people. Daniel's saying, sign up for a free account already. Cool. Thanks, Daniel. Nice tool, but can Chris elaborate more on the strategies he uses to increase reviews? So if you want me to share from within the context of this tool, it really comes back to, and I know this question might have been asked before I started talking about humor, but it really comes back to coming up with a strategy that is different than your competitors. I think that a lot of times in many businesses, people try and do the Me Too thing, right? Someone's doing this, it's succeeding, so me too, right? And that doesn't really work as well too often. And I think that in general, differentiating yourself from your competitors, whether it's the way that you brand yourself, the way you communicate with customers, with humor, etc., I think that can generate a much better result, both on getting product reviews and also in developing a better brand. So at least for me, the way that I'd like to do that is with humor. It sounds it's sort of a simple answer, but a lot of times it's simple answers and simple strategies can work really, really well.
Well, I think it all comes down to this is part of what I try and teach, and when you're looking at products and trying to match them to the customers, if you can get inside that person's perspective and try and put yourself literally in their shoes of what do you want to hear, what do you need to hear about the product, that's the strategy I think that makes all this workable, because this is a tool, and like all tools, it does an automated function. But I think as a seller, you have to try and tune those emails to your buyers and your markets, and whether that's with humor that's worked well for you or some other style that may work in another product, whatever that is, if you come across as a normal person who understands that buyer, that to me is a strategy of, you can always tweak and test of how many emails to send and how far apart and all those kind of things. But it's like getting the product and market right. If you get that right, everything else will fall into place. To me, the strategy here is if you get just right in, if you're sending the right style of emails, to me, that's the ultimate strategy, and that's still intuitive. But this tool just makes it so much easier to get that message across. So that's my interpretation of the strategies and the fact that it's automated. As many of you heard me say time and time again, I'm not a big fan of softwares. I think this business is so simple, you don't need many to run it. And you've heard me say that I use a tool like this. I use Merchant Word. I'm not using this now, but Merchant Words, and then I just started using the ASN Inspector. But I think that's about all you need. But this is the strategy, is just having the automated follow-up on the back end that allows you to do other things and find other products, and then just kind of set it and forget it type of scenario. So to me, that's a strategy that if you get all those things tuned in well, you should get higher than a point or two in your percentage of return. So to me, this just makes it easier to fulfill the strategy. Long-winded way to say it still comes back to somewhat to emotion with all things. Have you related to that buyer?
Definitely, well said. Next, more of a comment, I guess. Ray said, I use SalesBacker. It's been super simple. Switch on and let it go. Yep. Yeah, it's really simple. You can get going in 10, 15 minutes. And actually, well, on that note too, a lot of people are mentioning they're on using other tools. So switching process is actually really simple. You just would pause your campaigns. You copy your campaigns over to SalesBacker. When you first set up your account, every single product and the campaigns are all set to pause. Obviously, when you first sign up, we're not going to start sending out emails unless you tell us to start sending out emails. And so you can leave them all as paused. You copy over your campaigns. You can send out test emails to make sure they look all right. You're going to need to replace the text variables because every tool probably uses a different type of replacement variable thing. And send out those tests, and then you can just pause it at your previous provider and then turn it on over there, and you're pretty much good to go. Question, Chang, what is the typical conversion rate we can expect with the software for seller feedback and for reviews? So that's a good question, but it's a tough one to answer because, and I know that you probably hate that response, but it's true though, because if you think about the products that are sold on Amazon, they're so widely varied that the tendency for someone to want to review a product can be drastically different in one niche. Say something, people are maybe less likely to want to leave a review about weight loss pills that they're taking than they are about some soccer ball they bought for their child, right? And so I can't say like a typical conversion, but it's usually in the single-digit percentage range, and then 5% or so, or a little bit higher, is what you should try and shoot for. But again, keep that in mind that some of those categories are going to be a lot less likely for people to leave reviews in those. A few more questions too about just differences, and I think that some of these maybe came in before. That's one downside sometimes of getting a lot of questions, is that I may have answered some of these before. But one was asking
if you answered it before, I mean that's okay, because I mean most people typed it and they heard the answer. So I mean, yeah. And if it just I guess James has asked us this question, and James, I hope that he has answered that. If not, please retype something in. We'll have him address it. But we don't want to just repeat things. We got several people who are asking questions. So thanks for your question, James. And if he didn't answer that again, just please type that back in again.
Yeah. Well, he's saying, are there detailed demo videos I can follow and learn during the 60-day trial? So, well, it's really straightforward. I mean, just as simple as I showed you in about 10 to 15 minutes or so I did the demo. That's about how much time you'd have to get going as well. And then, of course, we have a team of support staff as well. If you email just support@salesbacker.com and mention, what your problem is, then we can help you out there. And then on the actual website, there's a little bit demo as well. But if there's specific questions that you have when you're using it and you're not sure of, just email in. We have a pretty fast response rate. Keith has a good question. What is the price? Are there different tier levels? Yes, let me actually show you that. So again, if you go to the markscottadams.com/SB, that'll take you to a free trial. It's 60 days, unlimited emails during that trial, and again, it'll include the 4 different email campaigns. So that bonus fourth campaign is the one that I use that incorporates humor. It's worked pretty well for me. But then if you're not selling a lot, then you just be on the free tier and you'll stay there. But then $19 a month on up to this one, and we've had some people that have been selling a lot higher volume, and then we've had to do custom plans for them. So if you were outside that range, we can do that. But one thing too that we do is that we have a lot more stuff planned for people, and we just want to give every tier, whether you're a smaller seller on this $19 a month doing 1,600 emails a month, or you're a larger seller. So everything that we add moving forward, premium feature wise, will be on the small plans and the big plans. So that's the plan here. So if so that way you don't have to upgrade to a huge plan just to get some feature when your business doesn't really justify that expense yet. So that's how it's priced. Let's see here, coming down to.
Yeah, Mark has a good question there.
Mark L.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Yeah, I currently have Feedback Genius set up in Seller Central. I assume all I would need to do is remove FPG Authority in Seller Central and then install SalesBacker to replace. Is that correct? Mark, yeah. So all you would do is you'd go through that link that I mentioned and then go through the setup process. It's really simple. You just connect your MWS account, and then once that's connected, you can set up your campaign. So yeah, you can copy those over from another provider and then put those into SalesBacker. Make sure you change the text replacement and then send out test emails. And if people have issues with those, you can always, again, email to support. But yeah, you can actually contact Seller Central and ask for um, people that are connected to your MWS account. And if there are tools that you've used in the past and you don't want them to have access, then you can ask that those are removed. It's actually a bit of a tricky process, but if you go into Seller Central and you do a seller, if you can go to the contact area, you can send in an email, you can ask for the MWS team to give you a list of who's authorized and connected to your account. You could have that removed. You wouldn't have to if you don't want to, but that's a step you could do. Mark says this product looks great, by the way. Thanks, Mark. Amir's saying, do you have email for customer put the item in the cart or wish list, but the sales are not made yet? No. So Amir, it's the only emails that you're going to get are going to be from customers that purchase your products, and so those are what we did. And then you'll see that list in the recently sent. You'll be able to see those come through, and you can of course search those by email, buyer name, order ID, etc. And so you can see those, but only for people that purchase. Another comment saying, I've been using SalesBack for a while, find it very useful. Great. Jacob has a question. It's not as directly related to SalesBacker, but it's still good value. So I found a list of top Amazon reviewers. Can I reach out and invite them to purchase my product with a coupon and invite them to leave feedback? Yeah, you can do that. I mean, I found, part of why we approached SalesBacker the way that we did is that I've been selling on Amazon, so I used my own experience to help dictate what I'd like to see in the tool as well, and then also based on other sellers' feedback. But one of the things that I did when I was trying to figure out what are these large companies doing that made them so large, and I found, I won't name their company in case they end up becoming a customer of ours, or maybe they already are, but I found some of these sellers were just, they have so many products and they have so much seller feedback that when they were launching new products, all they seemed to really be doing was contacting the top 10,000 reviewers on Amazon, asking for reviews, and then using that as their initial base, and then they were off and running. And that was pretty much, for the most part, all they were doing. Now, I think that because they have so much history on Amazon and so many products and so much seller feedback, that they have a bit of an advantage there. But yeah, I mean, that strategy is very effective. I do think, though, that there's a potential that 6 months, a year, or whatever down the line, Amazon might not like to offer that, right? I think it's kind of interesting that they even offer a top 10,000 reviewers list in the first place, because clearly the first thing people would want to do is get those people to leave reviews, because when you see those reviews, they come from, they even have special tags underneath their names saying top 10 reviewer or top 100 reviewer, etc., Hall of Fame reviewer. And so those different types of badges, I guess you could call them, add a lot of social proof to the review and then can increase conversions. So I guess long-winded answer is say yes, you can do that and you can ask them, but most of the time those people ask for the product for free, and then it won't say it's a verified purchase. But they will, of course, they usually know to disclose because they want to make sure that they don't lose their reviewer accounts or have their reviews removed. Let's see here. It's a question from Ron, but he hopped off, so I'll go on to the next one. Tom's asking, I understand this tool helps you get more reviews. Can you go over a strategy to get sales in the first place? I'm not sure. Well, we probably only have about, 10 minutes left, do you think, Mark?
Yeah.
Maybe, Tom, you can email me afterwards if you want, and I'll see if I can give you some extra strategies. But for me personally, I'll just briefly answer. I believe that Amazon's only going to get more competitive, and so I prefer to go after lower competition products as a starting point. And then that's kind of the guiding force behind what I prefer to do. And Mark, you probably have a different approach with what you do.
Well, I kind of believe in the low-hanging fruit, and that's what we teach in the course, and all that kind of thing. But that's a good question. But let's kind of see if we can get back on topic here, because obviously this is for after the fact, and for somebody who's already selling products.
Yeah, and actually, is it okay if we just jump to the most recent time frame, and if people,
you do. I mean, because a lot of the questions here, and folks, I'm going to say we've had so many people attend, and it looks like we continue to have questions and whatever else, and we can continue this in the Facebook group, and I'll see if I can jump on and try and answer some questions there, because I know that Chris does have another appointment and he has to go, and this is a little bit longer than what we had thought, so he's being very kind and generous to try and answer these, and if he does have to jump off, I can maybe stay here a little bit, but. Yeah, Chris, you go to whatever questions of something that we haven't covered, however you want to do that. And we'll try and address as many as we can. But just realize, folks, we do have a limited time here. So, please
Yes.
realize, please don't anybody take it personally if we don't get to your question.
Yes, let's just jump to the most recent time, right? So if I didn't answer your question, and I know I've answered a lot of questions that may have been asked a few times, just repost your question if it's something I didn't answer in the last little bit. And so if you haven't been on the whole time, then maybe hold off on posting those. But Mark's saying, did you find when you focus more on product reviews and seller feedback, your reviews increase proportionally? Yes, Mark. That's part of the reason why I went for product reviews first and foremost, before even asking for seller feedback. I thought, I might get a few extra 1- and 2-star reviews, but the total quantity of 5-star reviews that I get above and beyond that could more than offset that initial loss. That was my initial approach, but I know some people take a more measured, steady approach to getting, trying to filter out those negative reviews by asking for seller feedback first, and then if they are upset, oftentimes they'll leave that negative seller feedback as a review, and you can get that removed. How does a higher review rate affect the seller relationship with Amazon? The biggest metric is the seller feedback. So seller feedback as a whole is sort of a metric for determining it's one of those things where Amazon naturally doesn't want to share what influences their algorithm. But I know from just looking at other larger sellers that having a lot more seller feedback is better than having less in terms of product rankings, your ability to get something up and selling more quickly, etc. And so that's one component. But then on the product review side, it's mainly for, the more reviews you get, then the more likely someone that's coming and visiting your listing will see, okay, well, 500 plus people have already given this 5 stars. I don't need to even scroll down the listing, I'll just buy it. And so getting customers to make those really quick decisions to buy something is ultimately what it's a lot about. It's just providing that social proof in the form of a lot of reviews.
All right, Chris, why don't we just take 3 more questions so you can get that done and get on to your next appointment. So. Okay.
Yeah, I think most of the questions I maybe were answered, because when I mentioned Taylor, go ahead and post them, there's only been a few more. So.
Okay, all right.
So I'll just mention again that URL is just Mark's. It's down here at the bottom of the screen. I forgot to put that up there. So just down here, markscottadams.com/sb. You can check it out. Steven's saying, I've seen customers on Amazon complaining about reviews with disclaimers. Yes, it just serves to further emphasize why a tool like SalesBacker is going to be helpful for you, because these customers aren't going to put disclaimers because they're your natural organic sales, right? They're just regular Amazon users. But a lot of the customers that are, end users of Amazon that are leaving those disclaimers are people that are that are professional reviewers, and so they put those disclaimers in there. Maybe sometime in the future Amazon won't allow those. I don't know, but I think that a lot of times it's just a matter of, it's still fine now, continue to use it, and then if that changes in the future, just be aware. Just try and look about what might be changing in the future going ahead.
Yeah, it's always act and react, so that's the whole back and forth process, which is normal,
Yeah. Steve's saying, does the free plan, 120 emails per month, include all premium features as well? Steve, so no, the free plan doesn't include the premium features. But yeah, which package is the 60? So the 60-day free trial is unlimited emails during that 60 days. David's saying, last question, can you explain why some Amazon messages bounce? Did the customer cancel the Amazon account? Sometimes it's just people putting in incorrect emails. It can be as simple as that, or they have an email inbox that for whatever reason is undeliverable, right? They use their work email and then that work email has been discontinued or whatever. Steven's comments, I think they're on their way out. Yeah. Okay, I think that was most of the questions that came through. If there are any others that I missed, you can also just email me directly, or you can just email support@salesbacker.com. I think that's it for me, Mark.
All right. Well, I know you need to run, and and everybody, I'll hang on here for just a second or two. But Chris, I very much appreciate you coming and showing our product, because, again, I'm not a big believer in software, but with the recent changes, I think just the intuitive use of this and the fact that you can automate this, and for many of you who have been using some of the other tools, it just kind of works on automatic. But I think this is much like we'll tell people to find a better Amazon product and do it. I think you have taken the concept and made it into a better, more friendly, usable product. So out of all the things that are out there, and the fact that this is designed for those of us as private label sellers as opposed to just getting feedback, I think just the concept and design of this tool is better. And for those of you who are out there, I don't suggest things often, and if I do, I like them and use them. And I'm a big fan of this product. So if this is not on the cards for you, that's fine. If this is something that you're not quite ready for or have released a product yet, that's fine. But I wanted to make this aware of you. And if those of you who want to stay with where you're doing, man, that's fine too. But you should be doing something on this, because as we know now, reviews are even more to premium than they've ever been. And this is certainly one way to get them in addition to the other tools. So I've always believed in this concept, but now I'm truly believing how important this is versus 2 or 3 weeks ago. So for what it's worth, I think you got a good product here, Chris, and I thank you very much for taking the time to come on and show it to everybody.
Thank you so much, Mark. And while you were chatting there, I was dropping in the contact info for both myself directly and then also just the general support team. So yeah, generally speaking, support at salesbacker.com is going to get you a faster reply, because Chris at salesbacker.com is just me. So
all right. Well, Chris, go on to your next appointment, and I thank you very, very much, and look forward to talking to you soon.
Thanks, Mark. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'm going to stay on for another 2 or 3 minutes. If anybody has any questions regarding this product or something, because I know Chris had to run for a 2 o'clock appointment with 2 o'clock our time. I'm not sure I can answer all of the particulars on this product, but if anybody has anything that didn't get answered, or I'll hang around here for a minute or 2 or 3 if somebody wants to type in a question. As far as a review group and different things, we're going to address that a little bit in the next few days. So we've been doing some testing, and some things look good, some things have not. A couple of you type in the Facebook group. We've got people here from all different ways people are connected to me. For those of you who are members, we have our members only Facebook group. We also have a public Facebook group that if you're not part of that, you're more than welcome to join. It's just go in and search private label selling by Mark Scott Adams in Facebook, and that'll take you to that group, and then you can just click on there to apply to join, and then we'll approve you to get in for that. So we'll see if we can post some things on there as well. For those of you who may have come in late, we're going to see if we can get this recorded, and we'll probably have it up by tomorrow morning. So that's going to go on there, because again, we had way too many people, not too many, but way over people, or a quantity of people who wanted to see us. A lot of people didn't get in. So we maxed out on the GoToWebinar attendance number here. So with that said, let's see here. Let me just check, just see questions here. Mark's asking, what percentage do you place on product reviews versus seller feedback? Well, the product reviews, I think, are more important simply because that's what the potential buyers see. When somebody, hopefully they'll give you both. And that's part of what this program will do, is it will give you the opportunity to get both, where the seller feedback will make your account stronger. But again, you got to understand the evolution of Amazon, I think, is that when people started out reselling, much like they did on eBay, the seller feedback was important. Now when people have their own products, the product review, I think, has evolved into being a much more important thing. And that's one of the things about this tool, is it was designed from the ground up for a private label seller, as opposed to somebody who's doing arbitrage, or the eBay model, if you call it, whatever you want to do. So I just think this is well thought out. And if I were to design something like this myself, which obviously I can never do the tech stuff, but conceptually, if I were to design this is about 98% of what I would do on my own. So that's why I wanted to show it to everybody, because I think this is a good tool. And if you don't want to use it, that's okay. But if you have a product and you want to get some automatic reviews, I think this is worthwhile. And I think if you like Feedback Genius or Feedback 5, then that's fine. Use that too. But to me, this is just easier to use and a little more fully featured for what it is. So I think they've just literally raised the bar a little bit. All right. Okay. Okay. If it says, if a customer leaves a negative product review in the seller feedback, will Amazon remove it for a product review? If a customer leaves a negative product review in a seller feedback area, will Amazon remove it or convert it to a product review and just move it? I don't know all the particulars of that. I mean, I guess I've been fortunate, haven't gotten that many negative seller feedbacks where I needed to have anything removed, but that might be a good question to post in one of the Facebook groups. All right. So we're getting lots of people saying good info. Thanks, and checking out. So I think that pretty much covers it. So if anybody wants to post either in the members Facebook group or the public Facebook group, we'll try and address those over the next day or so. So I thank everybody for coming. And for those of you who had whatever minute in the pool of what I was going to mess up technically, all of you lost because we didn't do anything wrong this time. So that might be a first. So, after about 87 webinars, maybe I finally have all this figured out. So, so I think we're good here. So anyway, thank everybody very, very much for coming. We are going to get all these reviews done and improve. We're going to stay one step ahead of this. This is one step of the process. So I really don't think Amazon is, as Chris was saying, Amazon isn't going to have any problem with this because these are your natural organic buyers. But we are going to come back and in the very near future talk about some reviews and some testing. And looks like some of the things are working, some are not, but we're going to address that. And for those of you who are part of the review group, we are going to do a review that's going to go out on September 1st, but we're going to have some caveats. And in the next week or so, we'll have a little bit more information on that as well. So thank all of you who are making positive comments here at the end. I wanted to try and keep this at an hour max. So we'll have a replay out as soon as we can get that done and post it. So probably tomorrow. But again, thanks all, and appreciate you being here. Talk to everybody soon.